Hi everyone, you know what time it is. It's time for dungeons, and more dungeons. I'm really excited actually. We left off last time with having to make an important campaign decision. So, let's take a look around. That's always a good idea. Examine your surroundings. Fourth shows you what to roll for the investigation check, and Dipper flips through his notebook ready to tell you what you see. Okay. Nice roll. Tacked to one of the walls of this room is a note that reads, "Proceed with caution, homies." Tiros pockets the note. In the distance you hear the faint sound of rushing water. What do you do next? I sneeze next. That's what I do. So I start all my campaigns, just a healthy fit of allergy-ridden sneezing. Makes being an orc rogue pretty difficult.
What's the state of the door behind us?
It's locked. Thirsty Shipper, here's your chance to do something really cool. You're the only one of us who can pick locks.
That's right. Bringing important skills to the squad. Here, use the D38 to roll a sleight of hand check to see if you can pick that lock.
Come on, let me pick the lock. Let me prove my worth. I just got here. You roll your D38 for the check. It's a 31. And since you're a rogue with deft hands, you get a +2 to that roll. 33. Nice one. You pick the lock and the door swings open.
Brilliant. Let's go this way.
As the last of you step through the doorway, it melts, seeping into the walls as if it were never there. Guess we're not going back that way. The chandelier overhead ignites, casting the room in a warm orange glow and revealing an impressive door on the far wall. In front of it is a large cloth-covered lump. Uh-oh. Take a look around. Always. Also, does anybody else remember that song Evolution by Korn? That's all I'm thinking of when I hear take a look around. You roll for investigation, just like earlier. You approach it to inspect it. As your footsteps grow nearer, the lump shifts, rising to reveal that it is in fact a goblin. The goblin stands to attention and tries to pretend it was never asleep.
Travelers, I notice thee, and demand you answer these riddles 3.
Ooh, how are we gonna do this?
Pick the goblin's pocket. Full rogue.
Give me what you got. I can do that, right? Yeah.
He wasn't expecting this kind of ruthless roguing.
As Ford pulls out a sheet of paper to do the pickpocketing a goblin in light leather armor while in a damp stone dungeon room calculation for you, you hear Dipper murmuring something that sounds like, "Didn't even think of pickpocketing," to himself under his breath. You see, that's what happens when you got one player. You gotta up your players, all the eventualities.
Well, the math says you should roll a D8, a D4, and a D6. Anything below a 13 should be successful. Dipper, are you ready?
I'm ready. Dipper's not ready. Yeah.
Your roll succeeds, and Dipper grimaces. Oh, I'm ruining Dipper's campaign. I feel so bad.
You reach into the goblin's pocket, open your hand to see that you've stolen a piece of paper. In real life, Dipper hands you a folded piece of paper. Not having noticed you doing that, the goblin grows impatient. Well, now it's his time to die.
Travelers, answer these riddles 3. Nope, got the paper. Boop. Yeah, that's my stabbing noise, by the way. Boop.
The goblin reaches into his pocket, rifling for something and not finding it. Though he looks a little nervous, he proceeds from memory.
What has 88 keys but can't open a single door?
It's like a piano or keyboard or something like that, but let's use the piece of paper. Full-on cheater. What's the point of being a rogue if you don't have that?
Use the piece of paper, using all of the advantages. Dipper watches you open the paper with an expression of slight dismay on his face. I'm sorry, Dipper. You weren't prepared for how ruthless Thirsty Shipper gets playing dungeons, and more dungeons. It reads, what has 88 keys but can't open a single door? A piano. I was gonna get that anyway, but now I got the paper. What kind of key can't open doors? A monkey. And what is the first thing you did on your adventure? Look around.
Answer the riddle.
I'm monopolizing this game.
I've heard this one before. It's a piano, right?
Next, what kind of keys cannot open doors?
Answer the riddle.
A monkey. And finally, what is the first thing you did on this adventure?
Look around.
The door is now open for you, fabulous homies.
That's right.
Come on, squad fam, since that's the kind of thing we're going for. Colloquial squad out.
The goblin steps aside to let you go through the doorway. And with that, you've cleared my goblin puzzle. Well, a fourth of them anyway. It could have gone so many other ways.
Dipper then beams, and you follow his line of sight to realize it's because Ford just gave Dipper an encouraging smile of his own. As soon as you enter this next room, the wall melds over the doorway, sealing you in. Glancing around, the far wall of the room seems to be of a different material and color than the rest, though. It could just be the lighting. To the left, you see a row of lights affixed to the wall. Inspect the wall. Inspect the creepy wall. You look at it and confirm that it's a different color than the rest. Can I knock on it? You see Dipper give you a small smile, knowing what you're looking for. You knock along the wall and find that one section sounds hollow. As soon as you realize that, the next knock opens up a gap in the wall, which reveals itself to be a door. Go through or stay where we are? We should probably get a light. This barreling on through this campaign, we need to get a light. All right, inspect the lights. After inspecting and interacting with the lights for a few minutes, you come to realize a few things. That it was worth it? That was worth my time? There are 26 lights. Excuse me. There are 4 lights. Obligatory Star Trek joke. There are 26 lights. You can touch them to make them glow. You can only touch 6 of the lights at a time, and when 7 are touched, all lights fade to their original color. Each light is labeled with integers that run consecutively from 1 to 26 from the leftmost light.
Looks like we need a password for this one, Thirsty Shipper. The puzzle is fair. It must be a word we've already been introduced to. One that stands out.
You think and think back to that first room when Tyros pocketed the note from the first room of the dungeon. What was that word again?
Proceed with caution, homies.
Yeah, that's the code I'm using here. So what's the word?
I believe it was homies.
That's right. Good. Now connect those two together. Which lights do you touch? The 8th one, then the 15th one, then the 13th.
Followed by the 9th, 5th, and 19th.
The room rumbles and you turn around to find a green glass door. Walking up to get a closer look, you see that engraved on the door is a riddle. The door reads, if you go into the green glass door, you can bring a ball, but not a bat. You can bring a book, but you can't bring a novel. You can bring coffee, but not tea. You can bring letters, but you can't bring numbers. If you wish to pass, you must present an acceptable offering. Okay.
Interesting one. Dipper, let's think. A ball, but not a bat. I think I understand. Thirsty Shipper, what could you bring through the door?
Mystic amulet, hourglass, jade pendant, golden bellflower. A book, but not a novel. A ball, but not a bat. Letters, but no numbers. Mystic amulet? Alex offers the item to the door. Nothing happens. Well then, I'm keeping my mystic amulet. How dare you? Hourglass.
I offer my Baron's Book of Spells.
And Tyros offers his cutlass. The door dissolves, letting the party pass through. You glance at Ford to notice that he was watching you figure out the puzzle the entire time, even if you weren't too good at it. Before you make eye contact with him, he turns his head facing back at the game board on the floor, and... You're right, Uncle Ford, are you okay?
Aww. Adorbs. Oh yes, Dipper. I'm fine.
But then why's your face so red? You take a second look then and find that Ford indeed looks a little red. Ford stammers his way through,
It's a little warm in here.
as you ask if he's alright. You guess wearing a turtleneck in the summer will do that to a guy. Oh, come on. We're not oblivious. We've been thirsty for a long time. We know. But Dipper raises his brows at you, both surprised. He writes something down on the margin of his notebook before clearing his throat to continue the campaign. The green glass door swings open. You go through. To freedom. And there it is. The end of the dungeon. But what about the other room? What was in there? Was it magical? I cut it down a bit on the fly. I didn't want to make it too long. No, it could have been much longer. I would have just continued to play dungeons, and more dungeons. I even had a little die and everything, just to get into the mood. Method streaming. I would have ran a murder mystery I've been planning out for ages, but my test runs have never, gone very well with my focus group.
Why? How dark is it?
So what did you think? Too many puzzles, not enough story. Are these games always this short? So what happens next? When do we fight the sorcerer? I mean, the first two are my feelings, but I mean, come on. What happens next? I want to fight the sorcerer.
This was actually a transition into the next super plot-centric campaign about infiltrating the sorcerer's tower castle. Dipper shows you a couple of pages of his campaign book, which looks to be filled with various dungeon sketches with realistic physics calculations crowding into every spare space.
Well, Dipper, I think you did well. It's not easy adding in an extra player on short notice like that.
I always write it in just in case. Not completely, but just a few notes. Ford and Dipper launch into a conversation about dungeon mastering as they clean up the DDAMD setup, returning the game components to their original glossy fantasy box. They're too fast in practice for you to figure out how to help, so you just pick up the dice Ford lent you and return them to their original velvet bag. Dipper leaves and puts the DDAMD box back upstairs, and then it's just you and Ford.
Thirsty Shipper, you did well for a first-timer. I'd take you into a dungeon with me.
Haven't you already? I mean, I guess that was a cave.
True. Different things. Dungeon next time. I mean...
Ford gives you an embarrassed smile, but you're already smiling at him yourself.
I know what you meant. Thanks, Ford.
A call comes from the kitchen, from what sounds like Stan.
Well, I'd talk more, but I'd better see what he needs.
Ford moves past you, heading towards the kitchen. You suddenly feel the need to hold on to this moment, like you need to say something. Ford.
Yes?
Now that he's looking at you again, you don't remember what you were going to say. All you say is, "Here's your dice back. Thanks for letting me use it." Ford chuckles, shaking his head.
No, you keep it, in case you decide to join us again next time.
I get to keep the best dice? They're mine now. You'll never see them again.
See you at dinner, Thirsty Shipper.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Maybe we should have let him answer some stuff instead of being a Harvey Hogger. But you know what?
Someone thumps their fist on the storage room door, stirring you from sleep with a jolt and a thud as you fall off the mattress. Scrambling to your feet, you step over to the door and swing it open wide. Thirsty Shipper, I need your help. It's at that moment that you look down to see Waddles swaddled in her arms, wearing a top hat and a small bow tie. Why is Waddles looking so dapper? He looks pretty dashing, doesn't he? Wait, we're not here to dish out compliments. There's an emergency. A love emergency.
Is there any other kind?
Mabel stares at you with wide eyes, her little arms unmoving, as Waddles attempts to wriggle free from her grasp.
This kid's stronger than she looks.
Knowing Mabel, this could mean that she has a new crush. From what Dipper's told you, she's still deeply rooted in her boy-crazy phase. Or she desperately wants to wed Waddles to some unsuspecting critter outside. Waddles and Gompers are renewing their vows today, and I can't find Gompers to put his gown on. You gotta help me find him.
Gompers is out. Gompers wants nothing to do with this. Gompers wants an annulment.
You weren't actually expecting your second guess to be right. Okay, wait, Mabel, just calm down for a sec. We have to find Gompers! The ceremony's in 20 minutes!
What happens if we don't show up to the ceremony? I have questions.
Waddles wriggles himself free and runs down the hallway to freedom, ignoring Mabel's shriek of protest as she chases him. You're compelled to go back to bed, deciding this is almost definitely a dream, but jog after Mabel regardless. You catch sight of Mabel as she leaps over Dipper, who's sitting on the floor with a large array of graph paper and chewed pencils. She runs to the back door, suspiciously open, after Wallace's snorting self, yelling at him not to lose his tie. Oh, Mabel, what's going on? Waddles, wedding, Gompers. You're a little out of breath. Mabel's fast. Dipper smacks a hand to his forehead, dragging it down his face dramatically. Of course, he told me they're renewing their vows or something. They got married last summer, but she misses the pizzazz of weddings. Dipper looks nonplussed, but you can tell he's at least a little invested. Are you gonna help her with whatever that was?
I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, that's Mabel for you, but it's her thing, I guess.
There's a moment of silence. A moment of silence for Gompers and being forced into this marriage.
I'll help if you do.
Thanks, Dipper. And with that, you run past him. Dipper stutters of surprise, going fainter as you head outside. Mabel's already a ways away when you burst out into the shack's backyard. Fortunately, Stan and Ford are nowhere in sight. You're not sure what you think of them finding you searching for a goat bride, as Mabel calls out to lure Gompers home.
Come on, Gompers! I already booked that second honeymoon. The caterers are gonna be mad. Runaway brides are so cliche.
She's seriously invested in their farm critter marriage. That, or she's watched way too many dramatic movies. Or both. Both. It's definitely both. Gompers! Come on, goat pal. Where are you? You hear Dipper head towards Mabel to help her look, so you veer opposite, opting to cover more ground in search of the runaway goat bride. Under the shack's foundation, on the roof, inside of Stan's car. Let's get ridiculous. On the roof. Is the goat on the roof? Is Gompers that desperate to evade this marriage? You walk backwards and put a hand to your brow, shielding your eyes from the sun as you search the scaffolding of the shack. Nothing. Darn, impracticality did not win the day. You continue walking to the side now until rays of sunlight obscure the view above the sign for the gift shop. Rather serendipitously, a cloud glides overhead to block the sun, and you're able to look up higher, seeing the misspelled lettering, the various wear and tear in the roof, and a small billy goat munching on part of the weather vane. That's right. Got the sixth sense. I know where the goats are. I'm the goat whisperer. Wait. Hey, Mabel? Yeah? You point up to the roof at Gompers. Here comes the bride. Mabel shrieks, Gompers, and sprints into the gift shop, slamming the door so hard the open sign flips to closed. Well, I mean, we're going to have to close today. There's a wedding. There's silence for a moment. Then something flips open on the roof's small balcony, and Mabel pops out from underneath, climbing up onto the roof and attempting to coax Gompers down. There's a ladder up to that little balcony thing inside the gift shop. It's pretty cool for fireworks. Mabel pulls a sandwich from her sleeve. You can't help but imagine what else she has up there, and waves it in Gompers' direction, and he trots towards the balcony, hopping down to Mabel's level and snatching the sandwich from her hand. She grabs the goat and heads back down the ladder into the gift shop. Oh, Gompers, you can't get the pre-wedding jitters anymore. You're already married. You can't get away that easy. Thanks a billion, Thirsty Shipper. You've saved the wedding. Who else feels that you can't get away that easy is so threatening? You can't get away, Gompers. This is your fate. And with that, Mabel gets to work wrestling Gompers into his dress, yelling commands to Dipper to grab Waddles, who thankfully didn't get his bow tie dirty when he dashed away earlier, and get everything ready for the most important ceremony in the history of ever. Maybe an exaggeration, but Mabel's excitement is undoubtedly contagious.
Okay, once Dip finds Waddles, I think we've got everything ready. I am, of course, the vicar, caterer, proud mother, musical guest combo. Dipper's gonna take pictures for my scrapbook.
Hey, I never agreed to that.
Dipper, please. I've gotta officiate.
Do you mean officiate?
See, I'm so busy I can't even talk right. Please, Dipper, I'll help you with some nerd thing later. I pinky swear.
Dipper contemplates this, hand at his chin, mirroring his Grunkle forward, of course. As long as you actually do this time, then yeah, I'll take pictures. Mabel jumps up and down with excitement, jostling poor Gompers in her arms.
Yay! Thank you, Dipper. I owe you one. This is what the best brother looks like, right here, Thirsty Shipper.
Okay, you don't have to do the whole thing again. I'll get back to... Waddles, you get back here.
Okay, now we have that fixed. That means wait! Sue's left already. My ring bearer's gone. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Gompers?
Gompers gives the intelligent answer of, bah, chewing on his bridal veil. He's given up. Just gonna eat away his sorrows at this point. He knows there's no hope. He'll never get away. Mabel said so.
I could ask her, but I don't know.
Gompers uses that moment to look into Mabel's eyes and bleat at her insistently. Mabel naturally takes this as a sign. A sign from Goat.
You're right, of course. This is a special day. Again.
Mabel turns to you with pleading eyes.
Hey, Thirsty Shipper, could you be the new ring bearer for the ceremony?
I guess it would give me no greater honor. I don't know about this. It is too early, both in real life and in game, for me to get overly invested in this pig goat wedding. So, I guess. Mabel reads your less than enthusiastic response as a yes and grins at you excitedly.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let me go grab them.
Mabel runs back to the house and you hear her thudding upstairs faster than a hungry Waddles. Gompers, thankfully still occupied by the half a sandwich Mabel taunted him with, stays put. She comes back soon after with a fluffy purple pillow and 2 clear sticks. After snapping the sticks in half, glow sticks. They're glow sticks. She curls them into small bracelet-sized rings. These are so much more fun than rings. Plus, Waddles can put it on his tail to look super handsome. Waddles oinks in agreement. In his mad dash out of the house, he's lost his top hat.
Hold your hands out, palm up, and get down so you're not as tall. They can't put their rings on each other if you're way up there.
She's got a point. You duck to your knees in the dirt, and Mabel turns your hands palm up, reverently placing the pillow and the glow stick rings atop them.
Okay, Mabel, I'm here with the camera for Thirsty Shipper. Why are you on the ground?
You gesture to the happy couple with a wide arc of your arm. They needed a ring bearer.
Well, I guess they do.
Mabel nods, small hands on her hips. She looks over the wedding scene and mumbles to herself, checking things off, a mental checklist.
Okay, wait! I forgot the flower petals. I'll be right back.
And she's gone again, leaving you alone with a pig groom, a goat bride, and 2 glow stick bands of matrimony. Goatrimony. That kind of works. You decide not to crack that pun on Dipper, who's examining his disposable camera. He pops the back open and sighs, smacking a hand to his forehead.
This one's out of film. It must have been the one Mabel used at Candy's party.
He looks up at you and shrugs.
I'll go get one of my spares. Make sure these 2 don't go anywhere, or Mabel will, well, you know Mabel.
You haven't known Mabel as long as Dipper has, but you understand immediately. You're left alone in the backyard with a groom's pig, a bride goat, 2 glow sticks, and a broken disposable camera. While you'd love to say you've absolutely been in this situation before, you unfortunately have not. Unfortunately? I'd say fortunately. I really am happy for you both, Waddles and, Gompers. Both animals turn to you, nonchalant to the current state of events. But I can't believe Mabel forgot the flower petals. Jeez. Just as you go to continue the one-sided conversation between human, goat, and pig, you hear 2 voices coming around the house. No, please don't come see this. I'm pretty sure I'm still in my pajamas, just rolled out of bed, standing here with glow sticks. Totally legit. 2 very familiar voices. Listen, Sixer, if you hadn't gone off about the wobbly junker, the gobble wonker Stanley, has Dipper really never told you? Then you wouldn't have freaked out the kid at the store. We needed it, and we'd have, I don't know, the stuff to fix my house after you got a car stuck in it. It's still my house, and besides, if he was a fisherman, he needed to know. Both stand and Ford around the corner to find you sitting on your heels next to Waddles and Gompers, brandishing a pillow and glow sticks in the dirt. The 3 of you stare at each other in silence. Mabel needed a ring bearer for the wedding. It's at that moment that Mabel kicks down the back door, runs to your side, and throws rose petals atop your head.
Ta-da!
You blow a rose petal off the tip of your nose and grin at Mabel. I think our bride and groom are ready to renew their vows, don't you? Mabel nods emphatically at you before turning to her Grunkles, lighting up a 100-watt smile.
Yes, Grunkle Stan, Grunkle Ford, you guys got back just in time.
And just like that, Mabel pushes Stan and Ford towards you and tugs their hands so they sit across from you. Stan complains about his knees, and Ford asks Dipper exactly why the pig and goat are betrothed. Fits with what you know about both at this point. Mabel makes way with the wedding, and you sit cross-legged, the pillow and glow stick rings on your lap. Every so often, Mabel stifles a theatrical sob, wiping a very real tear from her eye before she turns to you for the rings. Oh, Mabel, how should the betrothed, wear their rings since they don't have ring fingers?
Just put them where you think they fit best.
On their heads like small glowy tiaras, around one goat horn and Wallace's tail, 1 over each ear, like fun earrings. I love that this is like a serious choice for me. 1 on each ear, like fun earrings. Standing up, you grab a ring in each hand and loop them over 1 ear of each animal. So disco.
Ooh, that looks great. They're extras on a really cool music video now. Thirsty Shipper, that's such a cute idea.
Dipper reappears with a new camera, and Mabel throws some rose petals at him. After a few get stuck in his fluffy hat, and he rolls his eyes, but retaliates by taking a very close-up picture, the flash temporarily blinding her.
Hey, save the film for the newlyweds. I need plenty of pictures for my scrapbook.
You owe me a new camera for this, Mabel.
He sounds annoyed, but his fond sibling smile gives him away, and he starts taking pictures of the happy couple, getting odd angles as Mabel pushes them into silly poses. You step away from the scene and go to head back into the house. Being a ring bearer is thirsty work. Not as thirsty as being a thirsty shipper, though, let's be real. But Stan and Ford stop you before you make it to the door. Hey, Thirsty Shipper, thanks for playing along with Mabel with the whole wedding thing. We're both glad you're willing to entertain her whenever we're gone. She didn't, make you do it, did she?
Nah. I figured I'd go along with it for a while. She's fun, though.
Mabel's certainly something, that's for sure. Regardless, thank you.
Ford takes a step forward on the patio, peering down at you through his cracked glasses. You'd be somewhat intimidated if it wasn't for the fact that he's blushing.
I appreciate that you occupied the kids for Stanley and I while we were out. Both of them seem to like you being around. Just like me.
You grin at him with a shrug. That's no problem. They're fun to hang out with, even if I'm gonna have some strange photos in Mabel's scrapbook at the end of it. Ford smiles, sweet and almost kind. It's your turn to turn red when he looks at you like that. It's very Beauty and the Beast. There's something sweet and almost kind. But he was mean and he was coarse and unrefined.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I've got, things to get back to. Yes, stuff. Things.
He walks past you and into the house, Stan following soon after. Stan elbows Ford and it looks like he mutters something to him, but you can't hear what it was. Whatever he said, Ford looks scandalized.
Hey, Thirsty Shipper, you're gonna miss the party. We got popsicles.
I call the red ones.
Pineapple ones are mine. I call dibs.
But the pineapple ones are the best ones.
Lies and slander. Where are the chocolate popsicles at? Give them to the Thirsty Shipper. Mabel and Stan wrestle over a yellow popsicle while Dipper contentedly unwraps a red one, holding it above his head. Poor Stan. He can't get in the frame. My face is over Stan's face. Stan, why? Stand closer. Ford gingerly picks out a purple ice pop and leaves the chest open for you to grab one as well. While Stan and Mabel aren't looking, you hide the pineapple popsicles at the bottom of the chest. Dipper sees and starts laughing, but doesn't tell. They're a strange bunch, these two sets of Pines twins, but they're certainly making your summer a lot more exciting as your stay at the Mystery Shack continues, your wreck of a car sitting outside in the heat of the setting sun. It's another day of summer with nothing to do but wait. And we wait so well, don't we? Just like we save. We save well as well. Your schedule is surprisingly clear today. Ford usually has something going on for you to help with, and if not, Stan, Seuss, or the kids do. Who do you want to find? Well, we're going full Ford for this route, so I'm going to look for Ford. I think I'll do a Stan playthrough after, but this time, after our Dream Daddy hop around to each daddy extravaganza, it's time to be committed and follow one path. For now, Ford. You pass through the living room and Mabel spots you from her seat at the table.
Thirsty Shipper, I was hoping I'd see you. Come on, I want to ask you something.
Mabel points down at the table with a raspberry pink colored pen. Her art supplies scattered across the table lie across various sheets of paper with brightly colored doodles and lots of glitter. You see a drawing that looks like a cross between Barney and Godzilla, a page full of puppies, and a page with a drawing that looks like you. Is that Ford or Stan? Mabel's not finished with it yet, but the telltale jawline gives it away. She's drawing her own fan fiction. She's an RPS, real life shipper. You sit down at the table across from Mabel and suddenly get the same feeling you'd get at a job interview. It's intensified when she pushes her organized chaos of papers aside and staples her fingers over the table surface.
Thirsty Shipper, I'll be Frank.
Hi, Frank. I'll be Thirsty Shipper. Ooh, bad jokes. Still got those dad jokes coming good.
I've been trying to find a match for my Grunkles for a while, but I never seem to get their matches made.
Sorry, a match?
But then it's like you were pulled from thin air, attracted to the shack by a magnet of love. It was a sign, and this week just made the chemistry you share with him obvious. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Well, yeah, I only have one choice because I've only hung out with one of them.
Yes. Grunkle Ford's great, but he's still guarded. You're the first new person I've seen him actually get interested in. Maybe if you get to know him, he'll see that social interactions aren't so hard, and maybe love was on his horizon all along.
Love? That's a jump to say the least. Not in these games, it's not. We've already had way more time together than romantic comedies, Disney movies, or a lot of other things combined, so I think we're doing pretty good. And anyway, though you've had the chance to share some quality time with Ford, you still feel like there's a huge part of his story that you're missing. How much do you even know about him anyway? And why do you want to know so much more? Because we're thirsty. That's why.
Mabel, Ford and I haven't spent all that much time together. Sure, we shared a couple of adventures, but nothing. Adventures are the perfect bonding material. I know that firsthand, but you know what would really get this chemistry going?
What? No, please enlighten me, small child. Or talking to him?
What? No, I'm thinking something more romantic.
How dare you, Mabel? What is more romantic than an intelligent, healthy adult conversation?
Hold on, I'm getting an idea. I'll get everything ready. Thirsty Shipper, you just focus on falling completely and utterly in love. Matchmaker Mabel is back in the game.
Just as you exit the talk with Mabel, you run into Dipper right outside the living room, and it doesn't seem like an accident either. His arms are crossed, and he's looking at you dubiously.
So I heard about Mabel's plan. From my position here in the hallway, eavesdropping. I just left the room. Yeah, well, word travels fast, and Mabel sends out mass update texts.
To what, like 3 people? How many people are in on this plan?
His defensive posture softens a bit. Just tell me one thing. I know my Grunkles can look after themselves, but can you promise me you won't hurt Grunkle Ford?
I can. That's why I've even been playing it with only one Grunkle at a time. See, I'm mindful. I'm mindful of this family's feelings. No homewrecker. I'm not Ethan Summerfeld. You can trust me. You can trust Ford. I mean, he's looking for the answer of you can trust me. So, I mean, he already trusts his uncle. I mean, he really should give his uncle more credit, but I'll give him the reassurance he's looking for. He's only 13.
Okay, Thirsty Shipper. I'm remembering that.
A text notification sounds and Dipper checks his phone.
And be ready at any time for your date with Grunkle Ford. This feels awkward enough. No offense, Thirsty Shipper. It's just my Grunkle Ford actually going on a date? Do old people even date? Kind of hard to wrap my head around.
Said pretty much every young shipper ever. I'm sorry, but that is so clearly what's going on in certain fandoms when people have squick around certain pairing and they're all like, so old. They're like 40, ancient. So old.
I hope Mabel doesn't ask me for my help tomorrow. I mean, I have enough trouble trying to date for myself.
Dipper, tell me more. Is it Pacifica? Is it Bill? Mabel calls down from upstairs.
Hey, Dip Top, I'm gonna need your help for tomorrow.
Whoop, never mind. During the next few days, you, Ford, and Dipper get further into the DD and MD campaign you left off, and you have time to flesh Alex out to complement Tyros and Vernon on the team. I want to play more. Please, let me play more DD and MD. I would play an entire game that was just DD and MD. Dipper tells you the 3-person troop is typically small for a DD-MD group, but you've been getting the hang of the game, mostly from taking advantage of Ford's helpful nudges in the right direction. Excuse me, in my playthrough, I completely monopolized that game. You've noticed Ford staring at you during the game sometimes, and you can't deny that you've been caught doing the same. After your fateful chat with Mabel, you're on edge and wait for her to pull something out of her sleeve. Every time she bursts into a room with fistfuls of crayons, you jump at least a foot in the air. But you've been doing your best to pretend everything's normal, or at least as normal as it gets in Gravity Falls. You ventured into town earlier today and did some tourist-worthy exploring, and ran into the Pines family at Greasy's Diner about an hour later. According to a giddy Dipper and an exasperated Ford, a door to another plane had appeared in the fridge instead of food. Post-documentation and inspection, and lots of skeptical squinting from Dipper and complaints from Stan, Ford had suggested they all just wait it out. It was gone by the time you got back. You secretly hoped to catch a glimpse, but when you asked Ford about it, he assured you it was nothing special. Wouldn't even have ranked him among his top 10, he'd say, pushing his glasses up on his nose. After that series of fridge-related events, the shack fell quiet. Dipper ventured out with his camera equipment off to film something amazing, and stands in his office, checking in with his sources. Whatever that means. That leaves you and Ford both intently reading on the shack's patio. It's warm and comfortable, yet the overhang shields your eyes from the blinding summer sunlight. You glance over at Ford. He looks calm and collected, same as he's been all week. Conversely, you've been a little nervous around him ever since Mabel's matchmaking interview. You see, this is why her matches don't work, because as soon as you tell people something like that, it makes them awkward and uncomfortable. Mabel, matchmaking fail 101. It's not that you haven't thought of him in that light before, it's that you never planned on actually trying it out. I didn't. Why not? You can always ask Mabel to call off the matchmaking thing. After spending the past couple of days convinced that Mabel was going to spring an unavoidable romantic situation on you at a moment's notice, you'd rather not live with that kind of anxious anticipation. You settle back into your book, a paperback Ford lent you. It's a jargon-heavy sci-fi with an abstract cover you probably would have overlooked on a bookshelf, and you think you're about to see the first glimpse of the plot after a 3-chapter introduction. Sounds like my kind of book. You go to turn the page of your book, but the back door slams open. Mabel explodes onto the porch, armed with oven mitts and an apron. It's happening. This is it. This is the moment.
Thirsty shipper, Grunkle Ford, I need help. And I need it now.
Ford sits up with a wide-eyed look, fixing his glasses that had been startled off the bridge of his nose.
What is it? Is something burning?
Is something burning in the kitchen? Ellipses.
I need help baking.
Ford relaxes enough to leave a bookmark in his dog-eared novel and close it, but looks to Mabel with an air of bewilderment.
Grenda's throwing a group detachment party for Marius when he comes to visit, and I volunteered to make cupcakes. I was like, yeah, I can totally bake a batch of cupcakes, but as it turns out,
I can't follow the instructions from the back of a packet. Smoke unfurls from the back doorway, inevitably followed by the screech of the fire alarm inside. Mabel wrings her mitted hands and winces guiltily.
I can't.
Mabel rushes back into the house, you and Ford coming close after. You reach the door in time to see Ford, unruffled, drag a chair over to the smoke detector and disable it as easily as flipping a light switch. As for the smoke, you go straight for the kitchen window and open it, fanning the smoke out of the house. Mabel looks guiltily at you both, attempting to waft the smoke out with her oven mitts. This is calculated. This is some Joseph-level running out of gas in the middle of the ocean calculation. Now that you really look at her, you notice there's flour on her sweater, and the kitchen floor, and the kitchen counter, leading to one lopsided bag of flour surrounded by a similar mess of ingredients.
Looks like you could use a hand, Mabel. Why didn't you ask for help much sooner?
I'm sorry, Grunkle Ford. I wanted to make them myself.
She wilts under exaggerated despair.
But I need these cupcakes, and I need your help.
She points at Ford.
And your help.
Mabel then moves her pointer finger to you. Oh dear.
Both of you absolutely need to help me with this.
You think I can't see your game? You think I can't see the long con you're planning, Mabel? I've been around the block a few times. I'm the thirstiest of shippers. I know all of the romantic cliches. What you got? She looks between the two of you with those Mabel patented puppy dog eyes, and whatever will you had left to resist crumbles immediately. You pat her shoulder reassuringly. It's all right, Mabel. Baking is a difficult art, and even professionals have off days. And, you glance at the oven that's still leaking lingering smoke. I think adult supervision might be good right now. Mabel nods, looking between you and Ford.
Well, it'll be easy peasy with you and Grunkle Ford helping me.
You look to Ford, and Ford just looks questioningly to Mabel.
Why would you need both of us, Mabel?
Didn't you know cupcakes are at least an 8-person job?
Because we need to make like a bajillion of these. So many. This is a huge party. Plus, the more people that make them, the more love these cupcakes will have. There needs to be so much love in these cupcakes.
That doesn't...
Please, Grunkle Ford, you and Thirsty Shipper are super conveniently the only ones who can help me.
Maybe Dipper...
He's out filming. He won't be back till sunset. It's gotta be you two.
Ford glances hopelessly out to the hallway for one moment, and Mabel gives you a conspiratorial wink while he's not looking. And then it dawns on you. Come on, Thirsty Shipper, why you gotta be so slow on the uptake? Don't be Ethan. This is your match-made date with Ford. Is it getting hot in here? Or is that just the oven?
Well...
Please, 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 Grunkle Ford. Thirsty Shipper is already gonna help out. Right, Thirsty Shipper?
Yes, that's what I want. Heart picking up its pace, you hazard a look at Ford to find him looking oddly contemplative, now compared to before. He looks to you for a fleeting moment. You catch out the corner of your eye. His attention's back on Mabel by the time you register it, and Ford nods at her. Wow, I read that so haltingly and awkwardly. Commas and spacing, what are those?
Alright, what do we need to do?
Yes! Okay, first rule in baking...
So don't talk about baking, no.
First rule in baking, wear an apron. There's never a wrong time to make a fashion statement.
Mabel holds 2 aprons out, one scarlet red and the other white. You have absolutely no idea when Maple even retrieved these aprons in the first place, but she's already picked who gets which one. The red apron is tossed to you, and the white one is thrown to Ford. You put it on and look down at yourself to read an upside-down "Burn Baby Burn" printed across your chest with a picture of a fiery grill beneath it. Fittingly, it smells a little like burning. Ford's apron has some green text. You didn't quite catch it, but as he loops it over his head and ties it, you can read it clearly. Nice. You stifle a laugh as you read text, now clear over his broad chest. My other oven is a Bunsen. Hey Ford, are you made of copper and tellurium? That's right, science jokes. It only takes a second for Ford to flush pink with understanding, fiddling with the hem of his apron.
Okay, Mabel, what's our next step?
The second rule of baking is to know your recipe.
The second rule of baking is to follow the rules.
It's got everything. The ingredients, the instructions, the temperature.
Ford looks to the counter and picks up a piece of paper. You guess it's the recipe, judging by the frilly-looking photo of a 3-tiered cake on the back. He scans over the ingredients, focused.
And the third rule of baking is to forget your recipe.
No, it is not. It's really not. I mean, adding flourish is one thing, but forgetting it? Mabel, come on.
There are rules for a reason.
But that's only if rule 2 doesn't work out. How are we looking, Grunkle Ford?
I was worried we'd be short on sugar, but I think we'll make it. Are you switching recipes, Mabel? There are ingredients listed here that aren't already on the counter.
Mabel laughs loudly and attempts to clap Ford on the shoulder. She only manages to reach his elbow, and you suddenly suspect that whatever baked good Mabel had burned in the oven earlier was a fabricated failure. You glance at the stovetop. The open box of store-bought cookies sitting on top confirms your suspicion.
Oh, Grunkle Ford, you tell the best jokes.
She wasted those cookies. That was cookie side. We could have eaten those cookies. They went to a horrible burnt grave. Their suffering knows no bounds.
That wasn't a joke.
Oh, look, we need flour. I already have that out. Next.
Ford reads the list of ingredients aloud, and Mabel darts around the kitchen gathering them as he calls them out. You set to work finding the utensils Mabel needs, searching through unfamiliar drawers she points out to you. After opening nearly every cupboard, you come up with an array of mismatched measuring cups, 2 half teaspoons, and a dented tablespoon. Good enough. How many cupcakes do you need for tomorrow, Mabel?
At least 100.
You give her an undisguised look of incredulity, and Mabel sends back a series of gestures telling you to go along with it, pointing at Ford's thoughtful face and mouthing, "He bought it."
So since the recipe makes 20 to 25,
Come on, we gotta quadruple this. We gotta make it happen. Let's make so many cupcakes. You're bewildered that Ford doesn't question the quantity. Instead, he starts to factor in how many acceptable cupcake pans he can find in the cupboards, grumbling as he searches through the clangs and dull thuds of other bakeware.
Woof. When is the last time Stanley... there they are. Looks like we have one that's rusted and one that hasn't. Thirsty shipper, get the pan that's already in the oven. If we can manage to clean it...
No.
Mabel makes gestures to disposing of her baking failure, and you wince but nod. Seizing your chance while Ford's back is turned, you open the oven, grab whatever's inside with the oven mitt, and rush outside to drop it in the trash. It turns out to be a couple of store-bought cookies dropped in a muffin pan and left to burn to a crisp. You shake the cookies out into the trash, leaving you with a still hot but perfectly serviceable pan. Take the pan back and call it a miracle. It's a miracle. We need all the pans since we think we actually have to make these, so bring it back. You return to the kitchen.
Look, the pan is actually fine. How lucky.
Ford gives Mabel a musing look.
Yes, how fortunate.
Mabel gives Ford a winning smile, which must be enough because Ford lights up with a smile soon after, shaking his head fondly. I think it's fine if he knows what's going on here. I mean, come on, we're both adults. You see that Ford has brought a mixing bowl out while you were gone and wiped away most of the excess flour from the counter. He settles back into the role of recipe reader now that you're back.
I've already turned down the oven to the correct temperature.
Mabel notably doesn't look sheepish in the slightest, still grinning in front of the mixing bowl.
So our next step is to add butter.
I'll measure it out.
And so you settle into a rhythm. Mabel measures ingredients and tosses them in. Ford reads out the recipe, pausing occasionally to balance out Mabel's haphazard method of throwing ingredients into the bowl, and you mix everything into a suitable batter. 2 ingredients later, you notice that Ford's rolled his sleeves up to his elbow as he works. You could get used to the sight of him like this. Wow, I'm real thirsty. Arms. Dang. Look at those forearms. You don't notice Ford returning your stare until he clears his throat. Apparently your oogling lasted just a moment too long. Do you guys say oogling or ogling? I always say oogling even though there's only one O. I know it should probably be ogling, but I don't know. That just doesn't sound as... Ogling doesn't sound as sexy as oogling. Neither sounds sexy, does it? Oogling. What a sexy word. Oogle. Thirsty shipper? Yeah?
I just added the first cup of flour. You can stir it in now.
Oh, right. Ford adds another cup as you stir the ingredients together, trying to ignore how red your face feels.
Aw, look at you two working so well together. It's like you don't even need me to be perfect.
Come on, Mabel, come on. You know she's talking about the matchmaking, but Ford doesn't take it that way.
That's not entirely accurate. You're an essential member of our baking trio. After all, who else is creative enough to come up with a unifying theme for all these cupcakes?
You're right. I haven't even thought of that yet.
Mabel, standing on a chair next to Ford to reach the counter, hops up and sits at the edge of the counter.
Lovey-dovey or lovey-dovey?
God, I can't decide. While Mabel works it out with her creative genius, Ford scoops out the last cup of flour, going to wipe the excess back into the bag with his finger.
Wait, I have the perfect idea.
She lifts her arm in triumph and promptly sends Ford's heaping cup of flour flying. Ford fumbles to catch it but ultimately fails, and the cup along with the bag fall into the mixing bowl, sending a mushroom cloud of flour into your faces. Flour cakes Ford's glasses along with his nose, cheeks, and forehead, and the front of his hair to the point where the color is indistinguishable from his usual streak of gray. Mabel, thankfully sitting to the side at her perch on the counter, only got half covered in the explosion of flour, even though she's already got various spots of flour all over her sweater. Oops. It's okay, Mabel. Here, take this, and dust the flour off. Mabel attempts to brush flour off of her sweater as Ford takes off his glasses, blowing puffs of white from the lenses and wiping them clean with the hem of his turtleneck. He manages to clear most of the flour off his skin, but he missed a spot. Ford.
I'm fine. I've had many messier adventures in my time than a bit of flour.
No, that's not, brush his hair out yourself. I mean, this is an exercise in thirst, so, let's just go for it. Let's reach into some personal space. You reach over to brush it out. Ford gives you an uncertain expression but stands still, letting you make contact. Your fingers only run through his hair for a second, but it was enough time for you to register how fluffy and flowery it is. You can't help the smile that tugs at your lips as you finish. You just had some flour there.
Did I?
Mabel has stopped dusting herself off and is looking between you and Ford with such anticipation that you're getting self-conscious under her attention. She's just there, now kiss. Chanting, kiss, kiss, kiss. Ford seems to notice too because he takes an unnecessary step back and awkwardly clears his throat.
Right. Flour. Mistake. Let's fix it.
The three of you take a moment to stare at the disaster zone on the counter. Looks like the only thing we can do now is guess how much flour we added and scale the amount of the rest of the ingredients to match it.
I was gonna start over.
Yeah, that's the good plan. That's the better plan for sure.
But that's a brilliant idea, Thirsty Shipper. Let's do it.
It's not a good idea, no. Thirsty Shipper does not have the best ideas and gets distracted by forearms. So, remember when arm porn was all over the net in fandoms, like especially in the Avengers fandom, especially for Hawkeye? There were just gifs of his arms.
Oh man, good times. Mabel, do you have another bowl for this operation?
Good thing I found this mega big bowl for mixing.
Mabel presents a vessel more akin to a tub than a mixing bowl. It's clean though, and Ford transfers the batter over. Good call, Mabel. Are you secretly a psychic?
Nope, it's just a little thing I like to call the power of Mabel.
She does exaggerated jazz hands, shaking some flour on the floor in the process. The three of you laugh before beginning the post-flour mission. Due to the mishap, you now need 4 times the other ingredients to match the flour that got dumped into the bowl. An inconvenience, but not impossible. As you measure out more sugar, you spot Ford adding to the bowl by cracking 2 eggs at a time in each hand. Show off. The kitchen is quiet during the bustle of measuring, adding, and remixing. But after a couple of minutes, Mabel sighs. What's up, Mabel?
Oh no, Thirsty Shipper. It's silly to talk about.
Nothing is too silly. Well, that's a broad statement. But the point is, we're willing to listen.
Well, Grenda and Marius are throwing this party on Marius's yacht, right?
Yacht, Joseph, contrived plans for relationships. It's all coming together into one super mega dating RPG sim world. Maybe we'll just have that. It'll just be like a shipping verse of all the dating sims we play combined into one horrifying mega multiverse. I'm into it. You have no idea who either of these people are, but play along for Mabel's sake. Yeah?
They're really getting into the romance zone. Grenda even told me that they kissed.
Ford only gives this a mild acknowledgement, so you have to amp up the reaction zone. They did not.
They did so. Can you believe that?
I seriously cannot believe that. Ford looks lost as he continues to mix the batter together.
And I'm really happy for Grenda. I am. But sometimes I feel a little jealous. Grenda's like one of my best friends. I don't get why I can't just be happy for her without feeling this way.
You just have to let that feeling simmer inside you. What terrible advice. Just let it simmer, grow until you become a supervillain one day and push her off the yacht. Like, no. Everyone feels like that sometimes. All you can do is try your best to stay positive for her, even if you're feeling a little bitter inside. Or, you know, you could work through your feelings and why you're feeling that way and why they're being projected onto her. But, you know, that's okay. Let it grow inside you. Feed your hate. And just know that eventually this feeling will pass. Really, everyone gets this way, even with friends. It doesn't mean you're a bad friend or anything. Unless, I mean, you start sabotaging her cupcakes.
Thanks, thirsty shipper.
And anyways, if this is about the romance, Mabel, you're only a teenager. You might feel like you're watching your friends get married and settle down so quickly, but that doesn't start happening until you get to 25. You're a wonderful girl. You're smart, pretty, and you can probably make a mean batch of cupcakes. I know that whoever you end up loving will be lucky to have you, and that perfect relationship will come your way in time. Also, parentheses, if you want it to, but I mean, she clearly does, so it's fine. Mabel seems to brighten, and she smiles at you gratefully. Then she looks thoughtful.
Getting married. I wonder when someone I know will get married.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wiggle, wiggle. She's non-specific, but Ford pointedly coughs into his fist.
Wait, we need to make these cupcakes extra special before we bake them. Quick, get the rum.
I thought they already were. Weren't we going to split this into 3 parts, add food coloring, and marble them in?
No. That's just special. I'm thinking extra special. I'm thinking explosion rocks.
You mean that tiny candy that makes your mouth all tingly?
Exactly. I'm gonna go grab my supply.
Mabel, don't you know? You never get high off your own supply. Mabel dashes out to get the candy, leaving you and Ford alone in the kitchen. Hello.
Worth it.
Normally you'd expect the atmosphere to turn awkward, but you find yourself anticipating something instead. You give Ford a smile. Good job calculating how much we needed to salvage the cupcakes. Ford laughs, leaning back against the counter.
Oh, I just eyeballed it and adjusted based on the batter's apparent viscosity. No calculation involved. And well, I couldn't let all of our hard work go to waste. Especially after you suggested salvaging it.
I don't get it. You wanted to start over.
Well, I had a whole plan in mind. We were going to quadruple the recipe, and now it's more like octuple. But I think this was the better route to take. Now that I think about it, that was the last of our flour. Wait, damn. Stanley needs flour for pancakes this week.
Would he take cupcakes for breakfast instead? We're gonna have plenty of them.
Knowing him, I think the probability is very high.
You were about to say something else, leaning in to continue the conversation when Mabel re-enters the room. She's carrying a cardboard box stuffed to the brim with bright packets of explosion rocks.
I'm back. All right, let's add these puppies in and make some cupcake magic.
You and Ford start helping Mabel decant the explosion rocks into the batter. Ford glances at you as you shake the last packet into the bowl. Both of you know that the consumers of these cupcakes will get an unpleasant surprise from them exploding in their mouth, especially since the multicolored candy makes the batter look like unassuming funfetti cupcakes. Then it's time to split the batter and marble them in the pan. The 3 colors Mabel chose are deep purple, blue, and pink, which she says ties in perfectly with her theme. So, are you going to tell us what the theme is?
Nope. Let's get these in the oven.
Is it lovey-dovey or lovey-dovey? Ford picks up both pans and sticks them in the oven to bake. There's still plenty of batter in the mixing bowl. You've barely skimmed the surface with this batch. You and Ford share another look.
All right, it's time for the best part, frosting.
What kind do we have?
It's not what kind do we have, it's what kind are we making?
Mabel presents another recipe card. Oh geez. Thankfully, the frosting is far easier to make than the batter. By the time you and Mabel separate the sugary result into a few different bowls for coloring, the first batch of cupcakes came out of the oven 10 minutes ago and have cooled down on the counter. As Mabel puts it, they're ready to be Mabel-fied. Ford grins at her as he starts dyeing a bowl of icing bright pink. Decorating the cupcakes is by far the most fun part of the afternoon. The three of you sit around the kitchen table. Mabel purposely sits you and Ford next to each other while she takes the remaining spot, and you use different frosting tips to make designs on all of the cupcakes.
But how can we do designs if we don't know the theme? You need to tell us. Tell your crew.
Mabel had finally revealed her theme. Good. To be outer space, because space is full of romance, and this way I can say they're completely out of this world. So the three of you cover marbled cupcakes in galaxy-worthy combinations of color frosting. Ford, to put it simply, is delighted by the theme. You're pretty sure the constellation he painstakingly iced on his last 25 cupcakes would pass his illustrations in a stargazer's guide. In the middle of completing a second Orion, Ford gets some icing on his face. A drip of blue somehow made it onto his chin, probably from testing the icing to make sure it tasted good. It did, of course. Mabel kicks you under the table.
It's your time again.
Use those hands. Ow! Shh! And she nods her head at her Grunkle, giving you a meaningful look that Ford completely misses. He wipes most of it off, but there's now a streak of blue on his cheek, so you... Just get on over there. I've already breached the boundary by touching the hair. I'll smear it with my finger. Childish and immature. Meh. Mabel stares you down, pressing her hands together, but you can't. You don't even know if Ford feels the same way, if at all. You don't want to freak him out with what she wants you to do. Can't let this icing go to waste.
What?
You swipe your finger across his cheek and quickly stick it in your mouth. That's way more intense than wiping it off. That's way more intense and suggestive than wiping it off. This is going to some places now. And gently, oh, not gently, woo, I'm adding my own fanfic in here, and quickly stick it in your mouth, sucking the icing off. It tastes great, thankfully, something to distract you from your and Ford's matching blushes.
You could have told me it was there, you know.
And let you get the first try of the icing? Nah.
Fair enough.
Is it good? You grin at them, both, glad that Ford wasn't too uncomfortable by your fairly forward move. That was beyond Ford. That was intense. It was inappropriate. That was get out of my house. It's delicious. We make a good team. You say that to Mabel, but you turn to Ford. He smiles at you knowingly before going back to icing his cupcake. Eventually, the three of you finish decorating over 100 cupcakes. Looking at them all lined up on the counter, you can really see the decline in quality as you, Ford, and Mabel got worn out. The last few have frosting in solid colors, with just a handful of star-shaped sprinkles on top. I can't believe we're finally done.
Yes, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I've had enough of the night sky to last me the rest of the week.
Oh, but we're not done. No, please. No more. Mabel sounds about as peppy as she has all day, even though she must be as tired as you and Ford. There's just one last thing to do.
Clean up, because we have a huge mess here.
No, Uncle Ford. More important than that. More urgent. More desperately needed.
Ford looks perplexed.
What could that be?
The glitter.
No, no more. No more bedazzling. No more, please. Mabel pulls out a sizable tub of blue edible glitter that had been sitting on the back corner of the counter for you're guessing the whole afternoon you've been in here. Unscrewing the lid reveals its sparkling, shiny contents. Each of you grabs a handful of glitter, sprinkling liberally over each cupcake. The only person who seems to be hesitating is Ford, who keeps stopping to attempt glitter gradients in order to keep his earlier icing work clear of glitter. Mabel always comes in after him, though, and fills in the blanks so that the whole thing sparkles. Soon enough, the tub is left nearly empty.
Great. All of these are for the party. Except this one's for Dipper. This one's for Grunkle Stan. This one's for Waddles.
Mabel puts the exceptions aside, and in the end, the three of you grab a cupcake each as a reward for an afternoon's hard work. You tap them together in a pseudo toast and absolutely devour them. The cupcake tastes odd, but that's what makes it amazing. It's probably the explosion rocks. The faint spice of love and adoration. A good, if not perfect, cupcake. The remaining cupcakes are strategically fitted into the pantry among the cheese boodles and various other snack foods ready to be brought to the party tomorrow afternoon. Mabel stretches and yawns dramatically before grabbing the plate of cupcakes that had been set aside.
Well, I better get these over to the boys. You know how Grunkle Stan gets when he smells something cooking and doesn't get a taste.
You're not quite sure you do, but Ford nods knowingly, so it must be true.
Anyway, I'll leave you two lovebirds alone. Thanks for helping, and you're welcome for my help.
Mabel sends a wink and a finger gun as she leaves. Your heart freezes in your chest as Ford looks at Mabel's exit with an unreadable look, then faces you. You see...
I know what's going on. This isn't the first time Mabel's tried to find my match.
You can't find the words to express your mixture of relief and confusion. Ford explains.
I suppose he's at the age where kids are thinking about romance and dating. Stanley and I are just two of her recent subjects for these compatibility experiments. Last time Mabel reached out to Mermando to set me up with a merman. She didn't tell me what kind of situation it was, so I unknowingly grilled him with enough scientific queries about merpeople to send him back underwater like grumpy burble.
Ford gives you a small, genuine smile.
But I can't say that it's all been bad. After all, I haven't managed to repeat that kind of mistake yet here.
If you did, you'd be surprised by how much I know about merpeople. So how do you think this match is going? Go for a high 6. How do you think this match is going? Or just make a joke of it? I don't know. Let's keep it light for a minute. If you did, you'd be surprised how much I know about merpeople. He gives you an amused chuckle. You both look around the disaster scene of a kitchen. Since Mabel conveniently had other things to do, she left you and Ford with the task of cleaning everything. Ford rolls his sleeve up and adjusts his glasses.
Come on, let's get this kitchen cleaned up.
We got a lot of love there. There was a decent amount of love. Our love meter went pretty far up. Maybe we should have asked him what he thought, but I don't know. It's just, we were so bold and so forward. That was going some places. Okay, you don't think you've ever been more nervous in your life, and we'll find out why next time. That's right, it's convenient cliffhanger time. Thanks so much, as always, for hanging out on the dates with Grunkle Ford. It's a lot of fun. I like it. The atmosphere is really good. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. More vids, more everything, just a lot of stuff. Bye-bye.
This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side. And the vote for next month's video is ongoing at the time of this recording, so please go check that out if you haven't already. As always, much more to come, so please stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.